Hi, and welcome to the Silicon Insider podcast. Hey, Scott, how are you?
I'm good, Mike. Thank you.
It's
Good to see
lovely
you.
weather in Silicon Valley, that's for sure.
Absolutely. We're on a great run here.
Okay, so we had some interesting news this week. Um, as everybody knows, President Trump went to Saudi Arabia and then the United Arab Emirates. And while he was at the latter, he announced that the US and the UAE are partnering on a massive artificial intelligence campus, which will be apparently the largest such facility outside the United States. And when they say massive, when I got down to the numbers, it's amazing. It's 5 gigawatt. Okay, that's kind of impressive. But the entire campus will cover 10 square miles. Now, you kind of need a barren desert to find a location where you can put up a building that's 10 square miles. Um, Apparently, well, they didn't disclose the name of the U.S. companies that will be involved, which will actually apparently run it. Uh, they'll run the cloud side and they'll also run the operation, but I guess everything else will be, all the support and stuff will be from the UAE. But we do know, hint, hint, NVIDIA's Jensen Huang was there. OpenAI's Sam Altman was there. SoftBank's Masayoshi Son was there. And Cisco President G2 Patel was there. Now, do you think they might have something to do with this eventual campus?
Sure. I mean, there are going to be a lot of companies involved in this. It's a gigantic undertaking. Interesting. The UAE, I mean, the whole kingdom has been talking about for a long time wanting to diversify away from just energy. Now, obviously, AI takes a lot of energy, so this is sort of in the ballpark. They've gotten involved in a lot of sporting events and things like that. But AI is something that the world seems to want to be part of. There is this, the more I read about the coming together of Trump and the Arab nations, it's something that, I'll believe when I see it really happen, but it seems to be happening before our eyes. And AI may just be, along with money, the lubricant to a more peaceful coexistence, perhaps.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. But let me give you a contrary view. Chuck Schumer. And we've been talking about this the last few weeks with the embargo and all, uh, that uh, Schumer says that Trump would be greenlighting the sale of the most sensitive U.S. chip technology in exchange for vague promises of more foreign investment. Well, I don't know if those are vague promises, but I have to agree with him. This is kind of dangerous ground. I mean, we know that China has been managing to get like advanced NVIDIA chips out of Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, uh, transshipping it. Here we are, we're going to build the world's most advanced, we're going to use the most advanced chips in this giant data center. And what controls do we have over what security do we have that this stuff isn't going to get transshipped to China? They order twice as much and send half of them and the rest of them and go to the data center. Is that a real concern? I mean, I feel the concern. Do you?
I mean, it's a real concern, but I think it's something that is going to happen. I mean, it's almost an admission that this is going to happen, right? Because
Yeah,
we're not pretending anymore. We're saying, hey, the floodgates are open. We're doing a lot of business together, and I think, like I said, the biggest lubricant is money, and AI means money. I mean, you're talking about um, you know a gift during the week of a gigantic jet. I mean,
yeah.
these things are changing hands at a pace we can't keep up with. And if the end result is a technology transfer around the world, that's sort of, it goes against the America first and America only sort of ethos. It's literally saying the earth
Sure.
is flat, like what Thomas Friedman says, we're going to do these things with these other nations. That has worked in America's favor traditionally. But it's something that the Trump administration seemed to be against for a while with big tariffs and sort of, isolationism. This opens things up, and that's why it's a bit of a surprise. But open trade has, for the most part, been good for America throughout the decades.
Right, because we tend to out innovate everybody.
Yeah.
The question is, can you have open trade around the world except China? And I'm
Right.
not
I
sure
doubt it
that's
because
going to work.
right. I think because of what you just said, that doesn't happen. I think you're right, and that has to be something that at this point they're probably just pretending doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's why they threw in the thing that the whole place will be run by American companies. Is that supposed to provide the level of security we need?
No, that may just be like what you say, that we tend to innovate. I mean, and it's interesting that students of economics are learning a lot about the China-America relationship when it comes to business. China is built as a manufacturing economy. They need to make stuff and sell it to survive. We are a consumer economy. We innovate, but we also buy a lot, and our economy depends on a strong, confident consumer. And that's why this tariff war with China is bad news for both sides. Less manufacturing, leading to less products for us consumers to buy. It seems like a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, well, in terms of impact of the tariffs, even with the numbers reduced now and the 90-day waiting period or cooling off period, Walmart this week announced people expect prices to go up on a lot of different things. And Walmart stock paid for it also this week. Is this the first of many, or is this kind of a last uh, roadblock, speed bump on the way to getting this whole thing solved? Can you want to predict out in the future? Are we going to see steady erosion and or additions in prices in the U.S. Because China will probably not come in on this deal? I mean, they've preliminarily, but China changes its mind a lot.
I mean, how can you as an American say that another country changes its mind a lot? Come on. I mean,
Yeah.
Trump has been tariffs on, tariffs off, 145%, 30%, 10%. There's no consistency, which is why I think Walmart is a significant barometer of what's to come. Whether the tariff is 30% on China or 40% or, Lord help us, 145%, prices will go up. And Walmart saying that, I think, is the first of many dominoes to fall. Or maybe not even the first. Didn't the automakers, both Ford and domestic, already say this is going to cost more? AMD
Yeah.
and Nvidia taking multi-billion dollar charges because of tariffs with China. Walmart is just something that affects all of us.
Right. This
Ultimately,
is the one the average person, average American like
sure.
us feels in our wallet.
Exactly. Much more so than, oh, the price of an NVIDIA chip is going to cost more. That doesn't really affect your wallet or mine. And unless you're buying a car in the next few years, neither does the car price. But Walmart affects everybody. And I think it's significant because other people will follow a behemoth like Walmart and say, okay, this is what we do as giant businesses. We have to pay more because of these tariffs, and we pass those costs on to the consumers.
So, I mean, they're the canary in the coal mine because their margins are so low and they absolutely make it up in huge volume. Is this going to be a race over the next 80 days to see whether the pressure from the public, the consumers, is going to force this administration to, be a little more relaxed about the deal, or are we going to get the deal before then? I mean, China's in its own race. I mean, the cities are deserted. Thousands of businesses a day are going bankrupt. I mean, this is a game of chicken. Who's gonna blink?
Again, we've already seen blinking on the Trump administration side. And I think it goes back to what you said 10 seconds ago. They're listening, at least to an extent, to the public and to the markets. And that's why the 145% tariffs that were so confidently announced, and so absolutely this is not changing, instantly changed when the markets went south and the bond markets started taking off. And all of a
Right.
sudden, America didn't seem to be a safe place financially. And that's something a president can't sit on. And so I think there was a response to the public, at least the response to the public's, taking it out on the stock market and the bond market.
So here's the question: does Xi have to answer to the public the same way that Trump does?
I
I
don't
got,
think so.
yeah, I think the Chinese Communist Party, I mean, it's either, I think it's kind of an all or nothing proposition. Either Xi gets his way or he gets a bullet in the head or a quick retirement and the party turns against him. I mean, that's sitting on the table too. And I'm sure that's haunting him because, boy, the videos I see coming out of China are really depressing. I mean, that's a country in free fall.
Well, a tariff situation that leads to less manufacturing is really bad news for China. And so I don't know why they would want that either. And so we don't know what's going on over there nearly as much as we do what's going on over here, obviously. But right, their economy is based on cranking out goods that other countries buy. And if we're putting huge tariffs on those goods, it hurts the consumer. Sure, it also hurts the manufacturing economy as well.
It's an interesting little petri dish. It's a mercantile manufacturing society versus a consumer innovative society.
Sounds good. I'll buy
We'll
that.
see. We'll see the next few weeks. Okay, Google. This is a kind of a minor item, but it's kind of cool. They announced on Thursday they're rolling out a new AI and accessibility features to Android and Chrome. It's TalkBack, which was originally, I think, was designed for uh, uh, low vision and blind people for greater access, but now it's being open to the general public. And I mean, it's kind of cool. It now lets you ask Gemini about what's in the images and what's on your screen. That anything that helps mankind that way and levels the field for everybody, I'm in love with. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, the accessibility features both on Android and iPhones have just gotten really impressive. And the idea of opening this up to AI and a talkback feature makes total sense. Isn't that sort of what OpenAI is all about and
Yeah.
ChatGPT? And while watching the sadly final Warrior game of the season,
Oh, let's
Google
not talk
had
about that.
yeah, Google had yet another innovative ad where you pointed your Android phone at something and then it started to tell you step by step how to fix it. And I was watching that like, whoa, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a YouTube thing to figure out, what washer to try to clamp down a drain or I built a a drumming hi-hat that way. It's so varied that you can find on YouTube. But now the idea of pointing your phone at something, it'll say, here's how to fix this. That makes me feel better about AI than I have since there's been AI.
This is what it was supposed to be for the rest of it. Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
apparently you can like point at your buddy's guitar and it'll say, oh, it's a Rickenbacker six string, and you can get it at such and this is the color design, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's wonderful. That changes everybody's life.
Well, it makes AI into a consumer product. And isn't that what we're waiting for?
Yeah, we've been waiting for a while. I mean, for the promise of this. Okay, I say I want to. I'm always starting off with stock, and this is supposed to be about tech. So, but I will get into stocks for a moment, and that is Walmart's situation. Its announcement caused the market to slip a little bit. I mean, it's been on a hot streak this week, but the Nasdaq actually went slightly negative because the euphoria over US-China news has passed us, and now we're looking at the impact of tariffs. The S&P rose, and the Dow went up 250 points. So the economy seems to be back on a roll again. I mean, I'm amazed that we escaped. We apparently escaped the recession. We'll see. But now today, Thursday, in the latest development, President Trump said that India has offered to literally charge us no tariffs on U.S. goods to sink the trade deal. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, India is not exactly an ally, but they're not exactly an enemy. I mean, they've always cozied up to Russia and all that, but they're a major trading partner, and to have no tariffs, That's going to have a positive effect too. I'm wondering how long they can keep up this streak of having these big announcements.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's the goal, I think, is to put these scary tariffs out there, whether they mean it or not, but try to say, hey, look, we're cutting deals. Whether those deals end up better than what we originally had, that's the question. India is such an interesting story, though, because there is so much back and forth with tech and Apple even saying, hey, we're going to sort of dim the effects of the China tariffs by making iPhones in India, which seems to be a good idea. Apple stock has recovered. It's back above 3 billion. And then President Trump says, no, 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 I don't want you making iPhones in India. I
Yeah,
want you making iPhones in the US.
that one's next on my agenda
Yeah,
here.
and that goes back to how much would an iPhone cost in America, and will that ever happen? Tim Cook is on record as saying that's not going to happen, but that seems to be what the president wants, and maybe that's sort of the white whale is the idea of making iPhones in America. But one of the goals of his whole presidency, first and second, is to bring manufacturing jobs back to the areas of America that have been decimated by decades of lost jobs in the manufacturing field.
Yeah. Let me go on this just for a second. India, the India-Pakistan situation has been, it's been on edge for 100 years. And now we just had a blow up, and now we have a truce, a ceasefire. But I would imagine both India and Pakistan are coming to the US, you know, begging for help, begging for munitions and everything else. Pakistan, especially, because their army's half the size of India's. But it's very possible that this offering by India is a kind of a peace offering, apple for the teacher. Please work with us. We've got this potential nuclear war sitting on our, in our backyard.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants that for any reason. And all I can think of is peace is so much better in that region, and any region, obviously, than the alternative. But it can't escape those who are dealing with either country right now on a trade basis to say it would just be so much better for the entire world if we didn't fear, a nuclear conflict there, obviously.
Yeah, turn the water back on India and stop threatening, nuclear missiles, Pakistan. And let's get back to basically Trump's shtick. I don't. That's kind of a negative term, but it's let's do trade. Winston Churchill's jaw is better than war. Well, this is what he seems to be trying to do. Look, we'll do business with you. We'll make you all wealthy. Just stop shooting at each other. And I'm not sure some of these historic feuds can be fixed that easily, but time will tell. Okay, so let's get on to Trump and Tim Cook. I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday, Trump said. I said to him, my friend, I treated you very good, and you're coming here with 500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. It's his voice, but is this a serious thing he's threatening? I mean, Apple's going to invest $500 billion, additional $1 billion in the United States. Okay, Trump got his wish. Apple's moving out of China as fast as it can. Can he really divert? Would it be even advisable for Tim Cook to move to America for mass production of iPhones? I can see other products, but not iPhones. I mean, that's something you go to where labor is cheap, and India fits the spot.
Right. And Tim Cook has gone on record as saying iPhones will not be built in America. I don't know how this gets resolved. The 500 billion, I mean, that's a huge figure. But then again, how much did it cost to build that new spaceship, or that reasonably new spaceship in Cupertino? I mean, Apple is not averse to spending money in America, obviously. But manufacturing facilities, again, I realize that's what President Trump has wanted since the jump. And that's something that America has lost and not made up, is the loss in manufacturing jobs for decades. Right. But then again, the trade-off would be, at least according to Tim Cook, an iPhone that costs a lot more than what we're already used to paying. So I don't know where the give is on either side of this equation, except ultimately, Apple outlives the Trump presidency. So Tim Cook knows that, and I think that's sort of his final calculation is we want to be selling iPhones to, the next next generation, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I can sort of see their negotiating positions slowly appearing. Cook's is, we can't afford to make them in America. If you want Americans to all have iPhones, we got to make them somewhere else. Trump's position is, look, we put up with you having those factories in China, which is now an embarrassment to you, given all the stuff that's come out. You kind of owe us. But Cook's reply would be, we already gave you $500 billion. And so Trump could bring to the table, oh, we could put tariffs on, I mean, I can see this developing. I think Apple's going to win because, just as you said, they're in the long game. And Trump is trying to make stuff happen right now. But it'll be interesting to see what Trump does to try to convince Cook to play ball. I think that'll unfold over the next few weeks. I don't think he's going to stick with it. He's got other things to worry about, and Cook's holding most of the cards.
Right.
Okay. Last November, Tesla terminated its longstanding policy that Tesla lessors, people who'd leased Teslas, could then convert that into a purchase at the end of the lease. Okay. And everybody liked the idea. It seemed like the perfect way to treat your customers. And then all of a sudden, Elon announced, no, you're not going to be able to convert it into a purchase because we're going to use all those used Tesla 3s for taxis. We're going to convert them into robo-taxis. Okay, now it's come out. It hasn't been fully confirmed, but now it's come out that no, he's not going to use them for taxis. Sorry, folks. We ended your deal. We ended your lease. We're not going to do it for taxis. We're turning around and reselling them for a profit. Now, is this legit? I suppose it's legal or they wouldn't try it. But, Tesla customers have, been through a lot the last few months. Now they're getting ripped off. Oh, we'll sell you back your Tesla, but it'll be X amount more.
I question the veracity of that only because didn't Tesla just have a huge drop off in sales in their last earning report? So why would you pay extra for a car that is not selling? Not only because there are other choices, but there are other Teslas that are sitting on the lots.
Yeah, loss leaders. Why would you buy a more expensive same car that's the loss leader with a little spinning thing on the parking lot, the used car lot?
Yeah, I mean, the idea that a company that was so far out in front on such an impressive, clean tech thing, and these things spiral. First it was his politics, then it was the Cybertrucks are not selling. Now people coming out of the woodwork saying, I can't get my car fixed if my Tesla breaks down. So you've got a company that just desperately, desperately needs to please its customers. And instead you have its very customers not selling back the cars and buying new ones, but putting stickers on their car saying, I bought this a long time ago. I promise I'll never buy another one. Yeah. I mean, it's the worst brand management you can imagine. And they're certainly not paying a price in the stock price. But when you talk to even longtime Tesla owners, they're like, as soon as I can, I'm getting something else. That's shocking. I mean, that is a real surprise.
Did you notice that the presidential motorcade in the Middle East was led by 2 Tesla trucks?
Yeah. And given
I
the
mean, I mean,
relationship between Trump and the Middle East, and this is not at all surprising.
yeah, but I mean, that's a little bit of marketing for one company. Uh,
That
yeah,
does not use oil, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of over the edge. All right, finally, uh, here we go. I'm going to hold this up because you got to see this. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the nemesis, one of the nemesises of your life. Did you see this?
Oh, it was my story a couple days ago. Absolutely.
Okay, Billy Evans, the domestic partner of imprisoned Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes, has raised nearly 20 million to launch a new health testing startup called Hemanthus. I guess HAE is for blood. Uh, the company aims to diagnose illnesses using small samples of blood, urine, and saliva. Uh, okay, and they filed a patent early this year for use of laser technology to help do it, and they think that AI will help too. Who invested in this thing?
You
Okay,
know,
I mean, he's only raised 20 million. That's chicken feed. I mean, that's not even a full A round from a VC from VCs. And they're also going to use blood, urine, and saliva. So they actually expanded the reach. But good Lord, and they're going to start testing on animals before moving to human diagnostics. Okay, so maybe they've learned a few things in the process, but if they have they changed enough, have they learned enough that you would trust them? You covered that case every single day. I mean, we did shows when you were in the rain and you know almost in the sleet, and then in the blazing heat of summer. I mean, went on for months about how Elizabeth Holmes basically just suckered everybody into this thing. And she raised how many million?
I mean, I think like, I don't know, it was a $9 billion valuation at one
Yeah,
point.
nine
So
billion, but I think it was just under a billion total of
yeah,
money.
right. She raised 900 million. Yeah. Look, as much as anyone, I'm happy to see someone's loved one taking an interest in the business of their partner.
Yeah,
That said, God, of all things, health tech, health diagnostics, how do you manage to do that? And then not expect 100% of the coverage to be about what it was about, which was Elizabeth Holmes's partner is also going into health diagnostics. And they're going out there putting out tweets saying, oh, we're not Theranos 2.0. Come on, there's no way that you're not doing this to get attention. You could have gone into anything other than
yeah.
that. And so to say, gosh, we really don't want to be compared to Theranos is almost comical
Yeah.
when the main guy of Elizabeth Holmes goes into health tech and diagnostics. You just can't do that.
And you pose with your old lady for the photograph who's gone up the river for 9 years for ripping off the public. Now, I thought we confirmed via the various medical operations and pharmaceuticals who didn't invest in Theranos that it was almost impossible to gain a realistic sample from something that small. That there's a reason you draw a lot of blood to look at somebody's health and to take a drop of it, even if it's a drop of urine and saliva and blood, it's just not a large enough sample.
Right. I mean, the sample size was small, the machines didn't work. So they were sort of, they were hit hard by two separate things at the same time, neither of which turned out to be successful. I don't know how much will be used here. I don't know what the machinery is. They're talking about some sort of Raman technology. So I don't even know what it means. I'm not smart enough. But right, it's not so much, I wonder who invested in this, in
Well,
Hemanthus.
supposedly his personal
Right,
network.
right.
So
But you
I don't
know who's
think Mark
not.
Andreessen is writing a big check.
No. But remember, the ones who did not invest in Theranos were biotech VCs, health science VCs. In other words, anyone who knew anything about what they were trying to do
Yeah.
stayed away. And I'm guessing that's a similar case here.
Well, the launch of the company has sparked criticism and concerns. Gee, I wonder why. Many fear the new venture could repeat the same mistake, raising questions about investor oversight and accountability in the healthcare industry. Big surprise. But apparently he is boldly going forward with his attempts to attract more funding. So get ready for the next trial.
Goodness. I just can't imagine why this would even be a thing. And yet there they go. So, we'll certainly pay attention to it. But I have a feeling that after this first round of lambasting, they'll do whatever they do at a slightly lower profile.
Yeah.
And that's probably best for all involved. Don't take this test. It's interesting because the real big victims that got all the headlines in Theranos were the already very wealthy investors. They lost money. But there were some people, plenty of them, who took the tests and were told, hey, you've got this condition that scared them half to death. And they had to go get many
diagnosis. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's bad. So
no, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel bad for the rich people. And I especially didn't feel bad for the VCs. And some major ones got hammered on this. They had their task was to do due diligence, and they didn't do enough. They got enamored. They got enamored with the female Steve Jobs in the black turtleneck.
Right. And ultimately, all they had to do was ask health tech VCs, hey, you guys get involved in this? It's the biggest thing in tech right now, in health tech. And they all said no. So
yeah, I mean, VCs are allowed to talk to each other. They're allowed to go around the rules and actually, put together money together and all sorts of stuff. They're talking all the time. And yet he didn't on this one. And so it's on them. And fool me twice, well, that'll be even more on them. So on the other hand, now let me play devil's advocate. Sometimes technology doesn't work. Silicon on sapphire, bubble memory. And then all of a sudden, years later, it gets revisited and they make it work. And that's happened all the way through the history of technology. I don't believe it's going to happen a year after it's been shown to be a failure, but I wouldn't be surprised if 10 years from now, with new forms of equipment and technology and AI and robotics, something approximating this actually works. But I don't think it's going to come from Mr. Elizabeth Holmes.
We'll see.
So that's it for now, folks. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Oh, I want to thank Mrs. McQueen. She's retiring from LinkedIn. Her name's Nina McQueen. I've known her for years. Her son and my sons were in Scouts, and she worked for LinkedIn as a senior executive for like 30 years, and she's just retired, and she's the one that sent me. Women notice this stuff more than men. Anything to do with Elizabeth Holmes, they have an intuition about this kind of thing. And she sent it to me the other day, and I want to thank her. She was a great neighbor, and we miss her, and I wish her a good retirement. Okay, so that's it for now, folks. And you can where to find us. And of course, watch Scott every night on NBC Bay Area. And you can hear me regularly on the BBC World Radio show, Business Matters. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.